massive whole segment of activity that's just being lopped off, right? Like, let's not even talk about that. We don't even need that. They're making a successful pitch out there to big companies and to industries and getting all of this buy-in across the board without one of the biggest assets. I mean, that's just crazy to me. It just goes to show you how powerful this invention really is at the end of the day, if it could be that successful without some of the best parts.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hashing It Out. I'm your host, Becky Legiro, and I want to remind you to please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you do not miss a future episode of Hashing It Out on the CoinGeek channel. So thank you again for joining me. I'm here today with Luke Rohenaz, the founder of TonicPow. Luke, it's awesome to see you as always. Thank you so much for being with me here today.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yes. And the last time that I was sitting with you in a chat was for the Affiliate Insider Summit. And we had a fantastic panel talking about blockchain and Web 3.0 and all sorts of other fabulous buzzwords that are getting everybody's attention. So I wanted to drill down into some of the points that we hit during that panel, and also make sure that our audience here is aware of all the amazing innovation happening at TonicPow. Love your work. So let us start out by having you tell the audience how TonicPow is solving some of the problems that digital marketers are facing today.
Yeah, sure. There's kind of a lot of sides to that story, but I guess I'd start with one of the big challenges that people have is kind of not knowing that their ad spend is being spent kind of in a responsible way. It just is a little bit of a black hole situation. One of the ways that we deal with that is one is you're developing relationships with the people who are promoting your stuff. And we have stats and reporting that kind of show you how their performance is and what the traffic is like that they're sending you. So you can kind of make individual determinations and have a little bit more say in the relationships. And we do think of it that way a little bit more than some of the competitors do. Some of the other challenges are, just the friction that it takes for payments and reconciliation and waiting on all that stuff. We kind of pay as things happen. So when you're sharing something and you're getting clicks, you're getting micropayments for that stuff. When you refer a sale, the moment that sale happens, your wallet's dinging and you're getting a payment. It's just a lot like a lot of the other, social affiliate referral type of systems out there. It's just enhanced and improved in a lot of subtle ways, a lot of times with Bitcoin and blockchain technology. You get the side effect of everything being recorded into a ledger so that things are provable, and if there ever is any kind of a dispute or things like that, everything's always time stamped, and you kind of inherit all of these little benefits from using Bitcoin.
Amazing. And Luke, I've seen you just develop so much at TonicPow. The product is now so sophisticated and amazing. Really proud of you for that. It's been a couple of years now, I think, and each time I talk to you, you have something cool to tell us, some big change or some big plans that you guys have. So please keep that up. That is amazing. And so also just to set the stage here for our audience, I know there's a couple of, like I said earlier, buzzwords that are floating around out there that everyone's focused on and trying to understand these days. And one of them is the Web 3.0, right? Everybody's talking about this, but when I talk to people about it, I find that a lot of them don't even actually know what that means. So let's start off by actually having you describe what that means to you, Web 3.0.
Yeah, I think when we were on our last conversation here, somebody brought up that same question, and it was answered by basically saying, having some kind of a Bitcoin wallet that is integrated directly into the application, and that essentially qualifies it. I think that that's mostly true. I think the definition will probably be a little bit more refined in the future. I think there's still some missing pieces around the whole setup, but the way I imagine it is, yes, there's some kind of wallet and there's some kind of keys that are integrated into this application. But one of the other missing chunks, I think, is probably identity, that there'd be some identity application. Like there's some prototype apps that I've seen that are out there that are like the perfect example of this. And I don't want to, I guess, name drop any of that stuff quite yet or anything, but imagine you have this mobile wallet and you're just sort of flipping through identities, and you could use any one of them to kind of sign into a website. And this app on your phone doesn't have to hold any funds necessarily. It's just something that you use to say, hey, this is me, this is associated with me, and this kind of thing. So I'm probably getting off into the weeds a little bit on the identity piece, but it's Web3. I don't think is what I'm saying is I don't think Web3 is fully here yet. I think the early versions of it is what we see now, and its simple definition is that there's an integrated wallet into the platform, and the actions that you're taking in the app are reflected on the blockchain.
Yeah, very interesting. And in fact, my last episode of Hashing It Out was with Phil Runyon, and he talked about on-chain identity. And I think a lot of the points that he made are exactly what you're saying. That's really, really cool concept. I think it's going to change the way we do things in the future for sure. So we talked about micropayments earlier, or you mentioned micropayments and how you use them at TonicPow, but I just wanted you to elaborate on that a bit and perhaps suggest how the ability to do micropayments will power this whole Web 3.0 obsession that we all have at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, right now we all make, I don't know, trillions of actions on the internet on a regular basis. There's just so much activity there, and none of that stuff has any value attached to it. Maybe some of it doesn't make sense to, but maybe some of it does. So there's this huge amount of just sort of informational interaction that's happening out there in the world that doesn't really move money around the way that it's kind of like this natural fit that just doesn't exist. I think some of the ideas were there for it when the internet was first born. There's certain like HTTP response statuses that servers give back that say, no, you can't access this resource because payment is required, for example. I think it's 402. Anyway, 204 or 402, one of them. Anyway, that sort of thing has always been something that we've wanted, and it's such a natural fit. I think they saw it all the way back then, but we didn't have Bitcoin. And now we have Bitcoin, but like what everybody thinks is Bitcoin is this other stuff that doesn't really work for micropayments. So it's pretty funny. And yeah, it's this giant blue ocean of like utility and really useful things that we can do by starting to associate some of these actions that we're already doing, like interacting on social networks or playing stuff on Spotify or any of the things that we're doing with any of these apps. There's lots of opportunity for them to be monetized, or small micropayments attached to them that directly support the people who you're interacting with their content, or helping this indie platform get off the ground, or any one of these things.
Yeah, and this is exactly what TonicPow is all about. I mean, I get paid in micropayments all the time when people click on the link that I've shared. So I think that you have a perfect use case of how micropayments can happen today and how they can change the way we promote different content. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that another topic that people often talk about these days is NFTs. Not really related to micropayments, but another buzzword here. I also wanted to get you to elaborate a bit on the difference between looking at an NFT as a speculative asset, a way to make a lot of money, versus NFTs for utility, and how perhaps an application like TonicPow could take advantage of this technology.
Yeah, so there's some interesting things about NFTs, and my understanding has sort of developed as the years have gone on here. And that my original position was a little bit purist, right? Like, it's hard for me to really see why it is that I need to make another token when I could just use BSV directly in the app for things. And up until this point, we use BSV purely to reward people for various things. But there is some really interesting things that can happen when you can issue a token. So if there's a content creator, for example, or a musician, or anybody who's doing something on their own that doesn't necessarily have funding for it, or something like this, it's a really interesting way for people to bootstrap. So they can mint some token and then attach some kind of promises to that. Like, hey, if you have these tokens, you get into my concert, or if you have these tokens, maybe you're on the mailing list of these limited edition magazines that go out to my followers, or like whatever. There's a million different things that you could do that way. And so at TonicPow, we're thinking about how we're watching people do this. It is something that's already happening. They're minting these things and then sharing them, and there's communities that are forming around them, and all of this interesting stuff happening. But what we're thinking about is, okay, how can we let people leverage what they've created and package that along with advertising campaigns for them? So what we're hoping to do in the near future here is allow you to deposit various types of tokens into a campaign for distribution to promoters. So you don't necessarily have to reward purely with BSV, or maybe not with BSV at all. Maybe it's just these tokens. For example, maybe you have some online store and you want to sell, you're selling some goods and you want to share this thing, and you've minted some basically tokens that are like gift cards, right? And so what you could offer is, hey, sure, we pay a couple cents per click, but we also pay, there's 1,000 tokens that are redeemable for some good or service that we provide. And as for being a promoter, you have some chance to earn this token in it as, like a bonus in addition to other things. But again, this speaks to NFTs being used for utility, right? That you're redeeming it for something, or you're using it to get into some event or something like that. There's just so many different applications on that front as well.
Yeah, and perhaps the reason why people aren't talking about that so much is, again, comes back to the fees. So you brought up earlier that it depends on which blockchain you're talking about and what kind of experience you're going to have. I mean, if you are creating NFTs on Ethereum, the fees are just going to be so high. You can't be moving them around, unless they're worth, I don't know, 1,000, 10,000, a million, I don't know.
Right. They have to be
And
big
the
value
same,
items.
yeah. I think actually on the panel we were on, someone even said, micropayments sound amazing, but how can you do them with
But
the
how do
gas
you do it?
fees?
Right. Yeah, exactly. That was the initial question, is like, wait a minute, this sounds great, but like, that's not really possible. It's like, yeah, it is,
Yeah.
and it's really sad because it's this massive whole segment of activity that's just being lopped off, right? Like, let's not even talk about that. We don't even need that. They're making a successful pitch out there to big companies and to industries, and getting all of this buy-in across the board without one of the biggest assets.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just crazy to me. It just goes to show you how powerful this invention really is at the end of the day, if it could be that successful without some of the best parts.
I know it's truly amazing. And it makes me so psyched for the future, because there's a lot that people don't know yet. And for people actually that are listening and they're like, oh my God, I really want to take advantage of micropayments, or I want to get involved with what TonicPow is doing, perhaps get involved with the service. What kind of tools are available out there for people to start utilizing these superpowers of the blockchain, especially for those who might not be so familiar with how it works?
Yeah, so I mean, TonicPow is a great example of a tool that really helps people kind of get started earning something. I mean, one of the things you could do, let's say you have a website, it's just maybe you don't get a ton of traffic or whatever, but you could put a TonicPow widget on your website pretty easily. I mean, it's just copying a little snippet of code, you paste it into your website, and you've got, you can put banner ads or something on your site where if they're ever clicked, you're getting micropayments for all that stuff. And the same thing is true of just like look through the campaigns on there, find stuff that you resonate with, that you think your people who follow you would like, and just share some campaigns. There's a lot of good starting points. There didn't used to be even a year ago, and I think there's a lot of really great ones now. I mean, just hopping into a couple games of like crypto fights, if you're into that sort of thing, that could be a lot of fun. There's all these games on Haste Arcade. There's all this different stuff that you could do with Pancash Wallet. There's a lot of people having a blast over at the Relay market as well. So there's a lot of different places to get in and to kind of get swept up.
I love it. I love it. What about an advertiser that wants to set up a campaign on TonicPow, but they don't have BSV and they don't really want to deal with the process of buying it or earning it?
Yeah, we can help anybody who's serious about doing that. We're actually going to be adding a feature for this pretty soon. It's in the works, but the goal is to allow advertisers to accept or to pay with credit card, and we'll top up their campaign for them, and then they're off to the races, and they're sending micropayments from their campaigns. So if anybody does want to do that, yeah, just absolutely reach out to us. We can accept the payment, and then put the BSV in your account if you don't want to go through an exchange.
Cool. Very, very cool. Look, and I keep saying to my friends, family, peers, whoever, that micropayments is honestly one of the most exciting areas in the whole world of blockchain. I really think it's super exciting. And I love how you utilize this, and soon NFTs and all sorts of other good stuff at TonicPow. So I really would like to encourage everybody watching to please take a look at TonicPow. And this is the best way to get your feet wet. Honestly, it's how I started getting familiar with interacting with BSV and earning it. It's awesome. TonicPow was the way. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to add, Luke, or share with our audience before we finish up?
I guess no. There's a couple things that are in the works. I just think it's probably a little bit too early to start talking about it too much. But I guess I'll just say there's a lot of really exciting things coming soon. I really don't like to soon on these things, but yeah, very soon.
Very soon. Well, hopefully you'll be able to reveal some of the juicy details by the Dubai event. We'll wait to hear from you then. Luke, Thank you so much. Honestly, always a pleasure. Like I said, keep up the amazing work, and I hope to see you soon.
Okay, thanks.
And thank you guys very much for watching. This is Becky Legiro for CoinGeek.com.
Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin wallet, blockchain, stablecoins, MetaNet, the evolution of money. Everybody is talking about Bitcoin today, but what exactly is it? Learn the basics from experts. Learn what Bitcoin is, how it works, and why it matters. Bitcoin 101, your ultimate guide to the fundamentals of blockchain.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Hashing It Out. For more from the show, click here. For more from the CoinGeek channel, click here. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you do not miss any future shows from the CoinGeek channel.